welcome our very special guest, Secular Spirit. Secular Spirit, Mr. Aleem, welcome to our channel and welcome to this show. Thank you for coming to our channel.
Oh, thank you for having me. I feel very privileged and honored for coming on your channel. And it's been a long time where I've wanted to just connect more with ex-Muslims from the Indian subcontinent. And many of my friends are originally from Pakistan, India. And it's amazing how Islam impacts so many people in so many different ways across different cultures. And that's the thing that I'm hoping we can talk about today.
Yes, definitely. दोस्तों हमारे अलीम साहब जो है सेक्युलर स्पिरिट चैनल से, तो इंग्लिश में डिस्कशन होगा, लेकिन मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि उसकी जो छोटी छोटी समरी है वो आप लोगों के सामने पेश करता जाऊं, ताकि जो हजरात जिनको इंग्लिश समझ में नहीं आती है उनको भी पता चले कि भाई डिस्कशन क्या हो रहा है। तो शॉर्ट में मैं बताने की कोशिश करूंगा कि अलीम साहब हमें क्या बताने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो Mr. Aleem, let's start this podcast or this stream. So my first question is, tell us about yourself. As I have already told people that you were born in the place called Palestine, then you moved to Dubai, and then now you are in Canada, if I am not wrong. So please tell, how was your the childhood and how Islam was related with your life till the time you became ex-Muslim. I mean, we want to know in detail what were the things happened with you, how much you learned about Islam, and then what exactly happened to that you left this so-called beautiful religion. Please go ahead. The mic is yours.
I like that. The so-called beautiful religion until you actually live it and learn more about it. And then you see the ugly side. The ugly side comes out, yeah. If you are being honest about it, yes. Thank you so much for that introduction again. And just one clarification. So I am from Palestine, but I was actually born in Dubai. So like many Palestinians, we live outside of the country because of the conflict. I'm sure many viewers will understand. So, and by the way, if you ever want to interrupt me, ask any questions while I'm telling my story, feel free to do so.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, my pleasure. So just to start off, I come from a Sunni Muslim family, not very religious, but many of my family are, you could say, devout. My own parents were not very religious, but I grew up in Dubai, learning Islam from a very young age, believing Islam is the truth. It is, like you said, the beautiful religion, the religion of peace and love. And I was told that, Allah, God, he loves each and every one of us, and we just have to believe in him, and he has all the answers for life. So these are many things. Yes.
As you have allowed me, and I have a very bad habit of
interrupting. No, go ahead.
I'm really sorry for that. Okay,
at least you're aware of it.
Yeah. You said you belong to a Sunni family. So the term Sunni is very generic actually, because I have no idea. I mean, I don't have much idea about Palestine, though I have a good idea about Dubai. But when you say Sunni, especially in India and Pakistan, we have so many subsects in Sunnism also. So we have a Sunni who goes to the shrine, a Sunni who doesn't go to shrine, like the Deobandi sect. We have Barelvi sect, and we have the Salafi sect, or the Al-Hadith sect, which also comes under the Sunni Islam. So can you specifically tell us which Sunni Islam you are following?
That's actually a really good question, and I think it will capture the kind of Muslim upbringing I had. I use the general term on purpose because with my family, we didn't really belong to any specific sect or school. So that's what I mean by my family wasn't that religious. We were just general Sunni Muslims. The only big distinction was we didn't believe the same things that the Shia Muslims believe in. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, no
Yeah,
problem. Yes,
yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll continue. So, growing up from a very young age, I believed, Allah is always watching me, and there are, angels and the devil and the jinn. These things were in my mind real, even though I could not see them. And from a very young age, I developed a lot of fear, because the way the educational system works in Dubai, if you are a Muslim, you are taught a class in school called Islamic education. It is mandatory if you are Muslim. And in the school, and I remind you that they are teaching these things to 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, very, very young children who aren't fully developed emotionally. They're teaching them about hell. And if you are a disbeliever, if you sin too much, then you will go to this place where you will suffer all these things that some of them are depicted in the Quran. For example, that your skin will be burned and melted off, and then this is the beautiful religion, Sahil. Remember, the beautiful religion. So
Yeah.
Allah will who loves you will melt off
beautiful
your skin.
beautiful religion with beautiful punishments.
Well, this is the thing. It's Allah loves you and will give you everything you want, but only if you do exactly as He says. So, what
Right.
kind of love is this? I can ask you that. Uh, so yeah, and Allah, by His love and mercy, He will burn off your skin, and then you will grow new skin, and you will have that burned off over and over again. So these are things I was learning when I was 7 and 8 in those years, and so I was very preoccupied about being afraid about hell and the judgment day, the Yom al Qiyamah, which Muslims believe in, of course, as well as the end of the world, when there will be great wars, great suffering, many deaths, and then all our souls will be risen for judgment. And so I believed
Okay.
in all these
So I'll
things.
do one thing. Yeah, I'll do one thing. I'll just summarize and
Okay.
let the people know in Hindi Urdu what you already said. तो भाइयों, हमारे अलीम साहब जो कि सेक्युलर स्प्रिट चैनल से है, इनकी परवरिश जो है वो दुबई में हुई है, और ये कह रहे हैं कि वहां पे स्कूल का सिस्टम जो होता है उसमें इस्लामिक स्टडी भी होती है, और जब ये 7-8 साल के थे तभी से स्कूल में इनको जहन्नम के बारे में बताया गया था, और ऐसी जहन्नम जहां पे जो है लोगों को जलाया जाएगा, और उनकी जब चमड़ी जल जाएगी तो उनको नई चमड़ी दी जाएगी ताकि वो पेन दर्द फील कर सके। तो जाहिर सी बात है कि ये जो टीचिंग्स पहले से दी जाती है, तो वो एक आदमी, एक मुसलमान जो है इन्हीं चीजों में उलझा हुआ होता है, जैसे कि ये उलझे हुए थे, ये डर, ये जहन्नम का, ये यानी इसी से रिलेटेड चीजें जो है वो मुसलमानों को बचपन से इनके जहनों में डाली जाती है। अब मैं मेरी बात बता रहा हूँ आप लोगों को कि आप लोग देखते हैं ना कि मोमिन हजरात इतने जल्दी इस गंदगी से क्यों नहीं निकलते, क्योंकि बहुत से लोगों को समझ में आने के बावजूद भी वो जो जहन्नम का, कब्र का, अजाब का जो डर है ना, वो उनके जहनों से नहीं निकलता है। ये डर ऐसी चीज है जो इतना बिठा दिया जाता है। आप सोचिए कि अलीम साहब ने भी जन्नत की बात की नहीं है, अभी तो वो सिर्फ स्टार्टिंग में ही क्या बताया उन्होंने कि जहन्नम के बारे में उनको बताया जाता था, और वो डर इंस्टिल किया जाता था स्टूडेंट्स के अंदर, बच्चों के अंदर। और यही मामला हर मुसलमान के साथ होता है कि वो शुरू से जहन्नम का और कब्र का डर उनके दिमाग में बिठा दिया जाता है। यस अली, प्लीज गो अहेड।
Wow, that is impressive that you can translate that much, and you have a very good memory. Thank you.
थैंक यू।
So just to continue, I also learned a lot about the Prophet Muhammad and the Sahaba, and in my mind, these were, the best people, the most amazing people. And the way the story of Islam, when it began, was taught to me was, this is the story of the underdog, because when Muhammad was first spreading and teaching Islam, his own family, most of them, they rejected him and they abused him, and many of his followers were abused, or they lost their money, or some were killed. And so I thought, this is the most incredible thing, the powerful story of Islam. This is good versus evil, the underdog versus the giant. And in my mind, Muhammad was the perfect man, the ideal that you should follow, which, as your viewers will know, is something that I discovered is very, very different from what the reality is. And I'll get to that a little bit later. And what I would say is, while I was a Muslim, I believed in many of the things that were positives that the religion taught. And in my opinion, Islam does teach some positive things, even though what I discovered was that many Muslims don't act on those positive things. So things like humility and modesty and generosity towards others, and not being too attached to material possessions, and accepting every Muslim as your equal, as your brother or sister. But what I soon discovered was that many Muslims do not behave in this way. One of the things I always get asked in Canada, where I am now, is when they learn that I grew up in Dubai, and they say, "Oh, Dubai, this is incredible! What a beautiful place! Everybody there must be rich, and life there must be all luxury." But what I always have to tell them is that this is not the reality of Dubai. What the reality of Dubai is there are rich people, there are successful, prosperous people, but it is built on the suffering of migrant workers from countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, Indonesia. And I would see the worst racism from the Arabs, the local Arabs, the Emiratis, towards people who are supposed to be their Muslim brothers from Pakistan or India, for example. And in my mind, I thought, how could this be? Why are these Muslims acting this way? Where is this racism coming from? And what I also noticed, and maybe I'll stop here so then you can translate the rest. I'll just add one thing.
Yeah.
So one of the things you must do as a Muslim is go on the pilgrimage to Mecca, the Hajj. And you only need to go once to fulfill your requirement. And I knew Muslims who had a lot of money who would go once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. They would go every year. And I thought, well, isn't the true Muslim thing to do is, instead of going more than once, maybe give the money to a Muslim brother or sister who has less money so they can go. And so this is one of the examples of how I saw that Muslims did not behave the way their religion claimed that Muslims should and would behave.
Okay. दोस्तों देखो, आई नो कि आप में से कई सारे लोगों को इंग्लिश समझ में आती है, लेकिन कई सारे लोग ऐसे भी हैं जिनको इंग्लिश समझ में नहीं आती, और इंग्लिश नहीं आना ये कोई ऐब वाली बात नहीं है। ऐसा नहीं है कि जिसको इंग्लिश आती है वो स्मार्ट है, एजुकेटेड है, ऐसा नहीं है यार। इट्स जस्ट अ लैंग्वेज। तो किसी को आती है, किसी को नहीं आती है, दैट इज एब्सोल्युटली फाइन। इंग्लिश आने या नहीं आने से हमारे इंटेलेक्चुअल लेवल पे कोई उसका असर नहीं पड़ता है। तो इस वजह से मैंने ये डिसाइड किया कि समरी हम रखेंगे छोटी छोटी, ताकि मैं बता दूं कि भाई कहना क्या चाह रहे हैं। अच्छा, भाई कह रहे हैं कि ये जब वहां पे एज अ मुस्लिम थे तो इनको ऐसा लगता था कि जो रसूलुल्लाह है और सहाबा है ये बेहतरीन लोग हैं और इनको दबाया गया है। ये अंडरडॉग जैसे वर्ड इन्होंने यूज किया है, मतलब वो बेचारे जो है, और मोमिन हजरात द्वारा भी इसी तरीके से बताया जाता है कि हमारे रसूल पे, हमारे साहबाओं पे इतना जुल्म हुआ, ताइफ में गए तो पत्थर मारे, न फलाना न ढिमकाना। तो ये भी उस तरीके से ही समझते थे कि यार देखो, तो ये जो हमारे नबी और उनके सहाबा जो थे वो असल में इनको दबाया गया, इन पे जुल्म किया गया, इनको ऐसा लग रहा था। अच्छा, उसके बाद इन्होंने ये कहा कि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इस्लाम में कुछ अच्छी टीचिंग्स भी है, उसमें आपने जनरस होना है, और ऐसे कुछ 1-2 एग्जांपल इन्होंने दिए हैं। लेकिन ये कहते हैं कि जब मैंने दुबई में जो वहाँ के जो शेख लोग हैं, वहाँ के जो अरब लोग हैं, उनको जब मैंने देखा तो वहाँ पे तो मामला कुछ अलग है, क्योंकि दुबई जो आज बना हुआ है उसमें अरब की मेहनत नहीं है, बल्कि इंडिया से जो लोग आते हैं, पाकिस्तान से जो मजदूर लोग आते हैं, इंडोनेशिया से, बांग्लादेश से जो मजदूर आते हैं, वो उनकी मेहनत है। वहां पे उनके पसीने लगे हुए हैं, لیکن اس کے باوجود وہاں کے جو عرب ہے وہ انہی یعنی مسلمان جن کو یہ کہا جاتا ہے کہ سارے مسلمان ایک برابر، اس میں کوئی ریسزم نہیں ہے، کوئی ایک سے بڑھ کر ایک نہیں ہے، کسی کا عہدہ ایک مسلمان کا عہدہ دوسرے مسلمان سے کوئی بڑھ کے نہیں ہے، اس طریقے کی ٹیچنگ بتائی جاتی ہے اسلام میں. لیکن یہ دیکھ رہے تھے کہ وہاں کے جو دبئی کے جو شیخ لوگ ہیں، دبئی کے جو عرب ہے، وہ دوسرے ملک کے مسلمانوں کو نیچا سمجھتے تھے، وہ ان کو اتنا رتبہ وہ نہیں دیتے تھے. تو یہ ان کا وہاں پہ اپیرنس تھا اور یہ سوچتے تھے کہ یار یہ کہاں سے آ رہا ہے. اس کے بعد یہ کہتے ہیں حج کی بات انہوں نے کی ہے کہ یار یہ دیکھتے تھے کہ اسلام میں تو حج جس پہ فرض ہے وہ تو ایک ہی بار فرض ہے، ایک ہی بار جانا ہے، بار بار تو فرض ہے نہیں. لیکن وہاں پہ لوگ جو ہے جن کے پاس پیسے ہیں وہ بار بار جاتے ہیں. تو یہ سوچ رہے تھے کہ ایسا کیوں نہیں ہے کہ یہ لوگ ایک بار حج پہ جائے اور اگر ایکسٹرا پیسہ ہے تو جو غریب ہے ان کو وہ پیسہ دے دے، وہ اس سے حج کر لے. تو یہاں تک انہوں نے اپنی بات ابھی بتائی ہے. یس علیم پلیز گو اہیڈ.
Thank you again. And what I noticed as well, this is, of course, in looking behind in time, at that moment when I was 15, 16, I didn't have enough self-awareness to see this about myself. But at that time, I had a lot of judgment and prejudice towards other people because, you know, I was Muslim and Islam is the perfect true religion. So I looked at Christians as, oh, these people, their religion is all wrong. How could they believe that Jesus is the Son of God? This is blasphemy. And I remembered thinking, I will not read this book or watch this movie or, you know, things like that because it is made by Christians. And I felt the same way about people from the Hindu religion, that, well, they are completely wrong in their religion, so we are the ones who have the true path to peace and the afterlife through Allah, through Islam. And so I felt superior to all these other people who are not Muslim. And while I didn't personally have this feeling, because I think my family, they raised me to respect all people equally, I could see that the attitude of Muslims, Arab Muslims, towards non-Arab Muslims, so some from Indonesia, some from Malaysia, some you had them from all over the world in Dubai. There's this feeling of superiority that many Arab Muslims had because, well, we speak Arabic, and so we are closer to the Quran. We are closer to the words that God, Allah, revealed in the Quran. And that's one of those things that when the time came for me to go to university, I didn't really want to continue living in Dubai, even though it was my home. I didn't feel a connection there. And so the decision was made by my parents, you will go to Canada. And I moved there when I was 17 for university. And this is where my journey towards leaving Islam really, really began. And I can continue now, or should we pause for you to translate?
Yeah, I'll just tell the summary. تو بھائی یہ وہاں پہ دیکھ رہے تھے، مطلب یہ مانتے تھے کہ اسلام ایک دم پرفیکٹ ریلیجن ہے، اسلام میک سینس. اور یہ کرسچنس کے بارے میں ان کا خیال تھا کہ یار یہ کیا پاگل پن ہے کہ یہ عیسیٰ کو اللہ کا بیٹا مان رہے ہیں. سیم خیالات ان کے ہندوز کے لیے بھی تھے، جو کہ عام طور پہ سارے مسلمانوں کے ہوتے ہیں. یہ اپنا کبھی بھی نہیں دیکھتے، دوسرے کے ریلیجن میں یہ اپنا دماغ بہت چلاتے ہیں. تو وہاں پہ ان کا بھی علیم صاحب کا بھی دماغ چل رہا تھا کہ یہ کرسچن جو ہے یہ مطلب ان لاجیکل ہے، ہندوز ان لاجیکل ہے. تو یہ ان کا ذہن ایسا ہو گیا تھا کہ یار ان کی میں کتابیں نہیں پڑھوں گا، موویز جو بنی ہوئی ہے وہ میں نہیں دیکھوں گا، کیونکہ یہ سب کرسچنوں کی بنائی ہوئی ہے. مطلب ان کا ذہن اتنا زیادہ دوسرے لوگوں کے لیے بند ہو چکا تھا کہ یہ ایک طریقے کا سمجھیے ایک مینٹل ہیٹ ہی اس کو کہا جائے گا. اچھا، اس کے باوجود لیکن جو مین چیز اس کو ہٹ کر رہی تھی، وہ یہ تھی کہ یہ جو یہاں کے جو عرب ہے وہ باقی مسلمانوں کو ایک جیسا کیوں نہیں سمجھتے، ان کو نیچا کیوں سمجھتے ہیں. انڈونیشیا کے مسلمانوں کو، پاکستانی مسلمانوں کو، کیونکہ دبئی میں ہر جگہ کے مسلمان آ کے کام کرتے ہیں. تو جب یہ یونیورسٹی تک پہنچ رہے تھے، کیونکہ گھر پہ ان کے اس طریقے سے نہیں سکھایا جا رہا تھا اور یہ چیز سہن نہیں کر پا رہے تھے، تو انہوں نے یہ کہا کہ یار میں یہاں پہ نہیں رہوں گا. تو ان کے گھر والوں نے پھر اور انہوں نے مل کے فیصلہ کیا کہ بھائی یونیورسٹی کے لیے ان کو کینیڈا بھیجا جائے. اور اسلام کے چھوڑنے کی ان کی جرنی یہیں سے شروع ہوتی ہے جب وہ کینیڈا کے لیے موو ہوتے ہیں. یس علی پلیز گو اہیڈ.
Thank you, thank you. So, like many people, like me, before me and after me, we come to Canada because we want a better education. We want to try and have a better life, a more successful career, and so this is the reason why my family sent me to Canada. But here's the other thing that happened when I came to Canada for the first time in my life. Really, here I was as an adult and almost an adult. Maybe 17 is not an adult. Uh, but I was for
In
the first
Islam,
time. Oh,
in
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Islam,
That's a good point.
you
Continue.
know that in Islam, if you start growing your pubic hair, I mean, once the pubic hair starts growing, you are already an adult. So Islamically, you are adult.
Islamically, I'm adult. Yes, that's
Yeah.
a good point. But well, let's say legally, by the legal definition of many countries, I was finally an adult alone, and I was not in a Muslim majority country. And so what happened was I was exposed to different culture, people of different religions who aren't living within the confines of a Muslim world. So meeting Christians and again meeting Hindus, Buddhists, Jewish people, and seeing all these people, they have many things in common with me. We like the same things. We want the same things from life. And what happened next was, I think because I was so young when I left home and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, I became very depressed. And I had what you could call like a crisis. And I didn't know
Mm.
what to do with my life. And one of the things that confused me was, why do I have all these feelings of doubt and unhappiness when Islam supposedly gives you all the answers? Islam tells you why you were created, to worship God, to worship Allah. And it tells you that this life is temporary and it is a test for you to go to al-akhirah, the afterlife, and to be with Allah in paradise. So what else do you need in terms of life guidance? Just do what Allah tells you to do, and then you will get the reward. And for some reason, this did not satisfy me because I felt like, why? This is the question that defined my life at that point. Why do I have to worship Allah? Why do I have to do what He says to go into the afterlife, the paradise? Because Allah says so. And so I started thinking about how Islam does not really give you answers. Why do we all exist? Because Allah created us. Why? Because Allah created us. So there's if you can understand what I'm saying, Sahil, there's a dead
Yes, yes.
end. There's a stop
Hmm.
where you just have to say Allah, Allah, Allah.
So
I believe in Allah.
the question that you were trying to ask, and you were not getting answer, and the same repeated answer is that, at this point, why Allah created human being. So they told you, or
Why?
the Muslim scholars, they say because He wanted to test you, and you have been created to worship Him. But again, the question is, why Allah wanted to create us, why He wanted to take the test, why He wanted people, why He wants, from creation, that He should worship Him alone. I mean, what is the benefit of this so-called God, to get that happiness by letting people worship Him? So this is the basic question which no Muslim can answer.
I'm still
And
waiting
that
for
is
the
the dead
answer.
end. And that is the dead end you're talking about, that, at
This
the
is the
end,
dead end.
because He wanted us to worship Him.
And here's the dangerous question to ask to a Muslim. It would be, does Allah need us to worship Him? Because
He'll
then
say no.
can you say God? But then why is He doing? Is it for fun? He's bored. See, this is the problem with these kinds of
You
things.
are very much like me. You are very much like me. I have asked this question to so many Muslims, and
You will never
believe
get an
me,
answer.
till date, I have not received any convincing or logical answer that why Allah created us. I mean,
Yeah.
the purpose of our life, okay, understood. The purpose of our life is to worship Allah. But what was the purpose of Allah in creating us? So that answer you will you will never get from any Muslim.
No.
So can
Maybe
I just
I
summarize to
I
the
will just
people?
add one thing because it
Yeah.
fits in with this topic. Maybe you and
Yes.
I are similar in this way, Sahil, but for me, I like to know why I am doing things. So
Hmm.
to give an analogy, maybe you can share this with people. They will
Please.
understand. It's when the parents tell you, go do this, or we're going there, I would ask why. And what do some parents say? Because I said so. They don't give you the reason. They say, because I am your parent and I said so. And this is what Allah does. He is the ultimate.
That is a narcissistic that is a
Yes.
narcissistic disorder actually.
Because
Because I'm telling you have to do.
Yes, exactly. And Allah is the ultimate version of this. He's telling all of us what to do, but won't say why. So I need to know the reasons why, and I realize that Islam does not give those reasons. So please go ahead.
वाह. अच्छा, तो शॉर्ट में जल्दी जल्दी बताता हूं मैं कि ये जब कनाडा गए तो बहुत यंग थे, 17 साल के थे, और बहुत ज्यादा मैच्योर भी नहीं होता है 17 साल में इंसान, क्योंकि रसूलुल्लाह को खुद 40 साल लगे थे, और हमारे दोस्त अहबाब ने कहा था कि वो ट्रेनिंग उनकी हो रही थी 40 साल तक। उनको समझ में नहीं आता कि भाई रिसालत का काम दे रहा हूं, वो बखूबी निभाएगा या नहीं निभाएगा, अल्लाह को भी ये पता नहीं था, तो उन्होंने 40 साल डिले कर दिया था नबूवत देने का। बट एनीवेज 17 साल इनका जो है वो उम्र थी, और वहां पे अब ये एक इस्लामिक कन्फाइनमेंट से निकल के एक ऐसी जगह पे आ गए थे जहां पे एक अपॉर्चुनिटी थी पढ़ने की, लाइफ में आगे बढ़ने की। अच्छा, वहां पे ये क्रिश्चियंस के साथ भी, यानी मल्टी कल्चर जो होता है, बुद्धिस्ट इनको मिल रहे हैं, क्रिश्चियंस मिल रहे हैं, हिंदूस इनको मिल रहे हैं। अच्छा, इसके बाद क्या होता है, ये इनके जहन में सवालात आना शुरू होते हैं, और ये एक ऐसा स्टेज आ जाता है जहां पे एक इंसान कह सकता है कि यार मैं अब डिप्रेशन में आ जाऊंगा अगर मुझे इस बात का जवाब नहीं मिला। लेकिन फिर इनके दिमाग में ये चलता है कि यार इस्लाम तो हर चीज का जवाब देता है, तो मुझे डिप्रेशन में क्यों आना है? इस्लाम तो जवाब देता है ना कि हम क्यों पैदा किए गए, इस्लाम तो जवाब देता है कि हमारा मकसद क्या है। तो इनको जो इस्लाम जो आंसर दे रहा था कि भाई हमारे जीने का मकसद क्या है, हमें क्यों इस दुनिया में भेजा गया, वो इनको कन्विंसिंग नहीं लग रहा था। चलो कि भाई हमें अल्लाह ने इबादत के लिए पैदा किया है, तो इनका सवाल ये आ रहा था कि अल्लाह इबादत क्यों करवाना चाह रहा है। सेम सवाल जो हम भी यहाँ पे करते हैं। तो मतलब जिसका दिमाग चलेगा वो इस तरीके के मुसलमान, जो जिसका दिमाग चलेगा उसका इस तरीके के सवालात आना जो है वो 100% कंफर्म है। तो अलीम साहब को भी यही सवाल आ रहा था कि क्यों अल्लाह इबादत करवाना चाह रहा है, क्या उसको मिल जाएगा, लेकिन इनको कोई जवाब ही नहीं मिल रहा था। तो इनको भी ऐसी ही फीलिंग आई कि ये जो इस्लाम वाला अल्लाह है, जैसे मिसाल के तौर पे इन्होंने एक माँ बच्चे का एग्जाम्पल दिया कि यार बच्चा, माँ जो है या पेरेंट जो है वो बच्चे को कह देते ये कर, अब बच्चा पूछता है कि क्यों, तो बाप बोलता है कि मैंने बोल दिया कर दे। हालांकि एक अच्छा बाप जो होगा वो उसको बताएगा कि बेटा ये इस वजह से होना, ये इस वजह से मैं आपको कह रहा हूं कि ऐसा कर, इसमें तेरा ये बेनिफिट है, इसमें मेरा ये बेनिफिट है, इस तरीके की बात आएगी। लेकिन यहाँ पे इनको इस सवाल का कोई जवाब नहीं मिल रहा था कि क्यों अल्लाह हमारे से अपनी इबादत करवाना चाहता है। तो ये एक नार्सिसिस्टिक ट्रेड जो है इनको अल्लाह में नजर आई। आगे इनसे जानने की कोशिश करते हैं कि ये जब सवालात आ रहे थे, फिर इसके बाद इनका नेक्स्ट जो चीजें हैं वो कैसा मामला होने लगा। यस अली,
Okay.
व्हाट हैपेंड नेक्स्ट?
What happened next was, in the middle of my depression, what happened was I was questioning everything about my life. So why am I in Canada? I'm alone in a foreign country where I don't know if you've ever been here, Sahil, but the winters are very, very cold.
Yes, I
even
have
right
heard.
here.
I have not been to there.
It is very, very cold. Even right now, I look out my window and it's very, very cold. I'm used to it now, but back then I was not very used to it, and I was not used to being alone. So I was questioning, why am I here? Why am I studying my subject in university, which did not interest me, to be honest, but I had to pick something. And of course, why am I Muslim? So I was asking all these big fundamental questions, and when I looked at Islam specifically, I opened the door to the possibility in my mind, what if Islam is not true? I saw for the first time in my life in Canada, there are people who are atheists, who do not believe in any God, and yet they are living life normally. And so I was thinking, if it's possible for them, maybe it is possible for me. And I started looking into the reasons why I believed in Islam. And again, to go back to our example from before, I realized it was because my family told me, because you are Muslim. My community told me, because you are Muslim and Islam is the truth. So I realized that this whole time I was believing in Islam because people always told me that this is the truth and this is what you are. I had no choice in the matter. And Sahil, the way I would describe it is it's like you're under a magic spell, or maybe a better way of saying it is you are hypnotized. So the hypnotist tells you, okay, hypnotizes you, tells you there is a big pink elephant in the room with you. And so you believe that there is a pink elephant in the room. And this is what it felt like to me with Islam. I was hypnotized my whole childhood to believe, because if you think about it, it is kind of ridiculous in a way. There is this powerful Allah, God, who is watching you at all times, who is with you at all times. And there's, again, like I mentioned, the angels and the demons and the jinn. All of them are invisible. I can't see them at any point of time. And yet I believe they are all real, and I believe they were all with me. And then it sounds funny now, but when you believe it, you can't imagine that it's not true. You think the pink elephant is in the room with you. And once I switched my mentality to what if Islam is not true, I think I just started to see how I am believing all these things for no good reason. Well, what is the good reason to believe that Islam is true? And I knew that Muslims would say, look at the Quran, it is perfection. Or, well, where did everything come from if there is no Allah? And for both things, I realized that these are not convincing reasons to believe in Islam. The Quran, how can we know for sure it came from Allah? We cannot know for sure. And when you think about the whole question of where did everything come from, I realized that just saying Allah is the answer is the same thing of saying, Allah is the answer because Allah is the answer, because there's no other option. But what if we can say, and this is what really opened my mind when I was learning the things that famous atheists were saying. So this is when I was discovering Richard Dawkins or Christopher Hitchens or Sam Harris. These are now very well-known names, and they were becoming popular just as I was leaving Islam. They would all say, what about the answer is, I don't know. And I thought this is amazing, to confront the big questions in life, say, I don't know, but then try to lead your life anyway. And this is what led me to thinking, you know what, I don't want to be a Muslim anymore. This is something that people always told me I should be, and I don't see good reasons for it. But that led me to discover the things about Islam that Muslims don't like to talk about, which I'll talk about next. I'll just let you translate.
Yeah. तो भाई अलीम साहब कह रहे हैं, बड़ा जबरदस्त इनका जहन जो है ना, जब सवाल आते हैं ना तो सवाल बहुत सारे आते हैं। तो इसी तरीके से इनके जहन में भी सवाल आ रहे थे जिनका इनको तसल्ली बख्श जवाब नहीं मिल रहा था। तो ये कोशिश कर रहे थे, क्योंकि इनको जो जवाब मिल रहा था वो कन्विंसिंग नहीं था, तो ये कोशिश कर रहे थे यार कि ये लोग जो जवाब देते हैं वो बस ऐसी है कि बस अल्लाह ने कह दिया है तो मानो, अल्लाह ने कह दिया है मानो। अच्छा, अब ये बात इनको ऐसी लगी जैसे कि कोई मेरे ऊपर काला जादू या जादू किया हुआ है, या फिर बेटर टर्म जो इनको लगा कि जैसे कि मुझे जो है कोई हिप्नोटाइज किया हुआ है। यानी एक जो हिप्नोटाइज करने वाला होता है वो एक कमरे में कहता है कि भाई यहाँ पे एक पिंक एलिफेंट है, और वो इस तरीके से हिप्नोटाइज करता है कि आपको लगने लगता है भाई यहाँ पे पिंक एलिफेंट है। तो उसी तरीके से इनका पूरा बचपना इनको ऐसा लगता है कि इस्लाम को लेके इनको हिप्नोटाइज किया गया है कि भाई ये कौन अल्लाह है जो दिखता नहीं है, फिर जिन है जिसको देखा नहीं जा सकता, डीमन है, भूत है, और ये मतलब नहीं दिखने वाले अनसीन क्रिएचर्स है, ये हमको नजर नहीं आ रहे, लेकिन क्या है, अल्लाह ने कह दिया है मानो, इस्लाम कह रहा है मानो। यानी इस्लाम जो है वो आपको कहता है सिर्फ मानो, अगरचे आपके अकल में वो बैठे या नहीं बैठे, लेकिन आपको मानना है। क्यों? क्योंकि इस्लाम ने कह दिया। क्यों? क्योंकि अल्लाह ने कह दिया। तो यही चीज इनके जहन में जो है ना वो घूम रही थी, इनको कोई आंसर नहीं मिल रहा था। और कनाडा में जब ये थे और ये जो स्टेज चल रहा था, तो कुछ एथियस्ट हजरात है, इन्होंने नाम लिए, काफी फेमस है, रिचर्ड डॉकिन और क्रिस्टोफर, उसके बाद हिंचिन जो भी है, मेरे को तो हिचेन, ओके, क्रिस्टोफर हिचेंस, और भी रिस्पेक्टेड जो एथियस्ट है उनके बयानात इन्होंने सुने, और इन्होंने जब उनको सुना, जब सवाल करते हैं कि भाई ये दुनिया फिर ऑटोमेटिकली कैसे आ गई, ये दुनिया कैसे बन गई, तो ये जब सवाल आता है तो इसके जवाब अगर किसी को नहीं मालूम है तो मोमिन आजाद क्या कह देते, क्योंकि अल्लाह ने बनाई है। तो ये कन्विंस नहीं हो रहे थे इस जवाब से कि भाई, और अच्छा इनके पास ये भी कोई मानने के लिए कोई एक कन्विंसिंग आंसर नहीं था कि जो कुरान है वो वाकई में अल्लाह की तरफ से, इसको भी साबित नहीं किया जा सकता। यानी इस्लाम की कोई भी चीज को साबित नहीं किया जा सकता, लेकिन सामने से एक दो सवाल इस तरीके से कर दो जिसका जवाब अगर किसी को नहीं मालूम है तो देखो ये अल्लाह ने बनाई है। तो इसको हमारे ओवैस इकबाल साहब जो है ना, वो किसी को कोट करते हैं, मुझे इनका नाम नहीं याद है, कि ये गॉड ऑफ गैप्स इसको कहा जाता है, कि जहां पे कुछ चीज का सवाल ना हो वहां पे खुदा को इंक्लूड कर दो कि भाई अच्छा इसका आपके पास जवाब नहीं है ना, तो ये अल्लाह है, गॉड ऑफ गैप्स। तो इसी तरीके से इनको गॉड ऑफ गैप वाला एग्जाम्पल जो है या आर्ग्यूमेंट जो वो इनको दिया जा रहा था कि भाई अगर इस दुनिया को किसी ने नहीं बनाया तो ये ऑटोमेटिकली वजूद में कैसे आ गई। अच्छा, तो इसका जवाब नहीं है तो क्या है, अल्लाह ने बनाई। तो जब इन्होंने देखा कि ये जो लोग हैं जिनके इन्होंने अभी नाम लिए, उनके बयानात में उन्होंने कहा कि इसका हम सीधा आंसर ये क्यों नहीं कर सकते कि हमें नहीं मालूम, आई डोंट नो, वी डोंट नो, और एक जिंदगी क्यों नहीं गुजार सकते हम अच्छी से, इसमें अल्लाह को बीच में घुसेड़ने की क्या जरूरत है। तो ये चीज उनको बहुत ज्यादा कन्विंसिंग लगी कि भाई हम वी डोंट नो कहकर भी अपनी जिंदगी जो है वो अच्छे से गुजार सकते हैं। यस अलीम।
Thank you, Sahil. Yes, God of the gaps. That's exactly it. And I could
Yes.
not jump this gap. I could not do it. And again, like I said, once the hypnosis effect wore off, I started looking at many of the things that I had done and believed as a Muslim and that Islam taught. And I saw them, well, oh, what if these things are just man-made? What if these are just things that people from 1400 years ago, 1400 years ago, said is the truth based on what they believed? And it becomes very horrible when you look at it that way. When I think about
I'm just interrupting you, Aleem. We know a great Islamic scholar. He just messaged me that if Aleem is so powerful, ex-Muslim, he knows Islam, is he ready to debate him? So I said, let him finish his story, and then you can join us and have debate with you. Are you ready to debate with him?
well, it depends on debating what, but I'm happy to have a conversation at the very least.
Okay, but anyways, once you complete your story, we'll call
Okay.
that scholar. He is a great scholar. He is such a great scholar that no scholar can match him. So I'll introduce him, but let's wait and you will like him a lot. So
Okay.
let's complete our story first. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so where was I? So when I was looking at all these things, like the treatment of women in Islam, how women are treated secondary to the men, and I thought, is this a good thing? When I thought about my own mother, who is a proud and accomplished woman, is she really someone who should be secondary to my father in our household? And in my household, my parents were equals, so my father was not in charge of the family the way Islam teaches, and I could see from my own family that women are just as capable as men in many different aspects of life. And beyond that, I was looking at the teachings of how if you don't believe in Allah, then you're a sinner, you're a disbeliever, and you deserve to be punished. And I thought, well, I've now met atheists, I've met people who are non-Muslims, and I can see they are good people, they care about others. How could someone punish those people just because they don't happen to believe to believe in you? It seems very cruel. It's very sadistic. And it's interesting how Muslims behave. So I learned a lot about the Prophet Muhammad and all about his life. And for example, I knew that he married one of his wives was Aisha. Of course, the thing they don't tell you, they didn't teach me when I was a kid in school, was that he married her at 6 years old, and he consummated the marriage when she was 9 years old. So that really also contributed to shattering my perception of the Prophet Muhammad, because many Muslims believe he's the ideal template for everyone to follow. But I could see today, even, I know that there are Muslims who would marry a 9-year-old.
He is uswatun hasana.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So many Muslims would, I know that there are Muslims who would do this today, marry a child, but there are many Muslims who wouldn't do it. So what changed? Did Islam change? Islam cannot change. It is the perfect religion. It is society, human beings that changed. But because we believe Islam is the truth and Muhammad is the, like you said, the perfect example that we should all follow, we have to somehow defend or rationalize a grown man in his 50s or however old he was marrying a child and having sex with a child. And this is just one of many examples. There were other things I learned about, the massacres that happened with the first Muslims, and how the Muslims fought and killed each other. And when you take away that Islam is true, then you realize these are just tribes of people murdering each other for power and just doing whatever they want to do to maintain that power. And that's when I would say the hypnosis effect was completely gone, when I learned all these other things about Islam and realized how much I would call it trauma, to be honest. I am fortunate that I was never beaten, I was never abused because of Islam physically. But emotionally, I think it is abuse to teach your children that you're going to go to hell unless you follow Allah, and then all the people who are non-believers, they will go to hell. That you will go to hell possibly for having sex outside of marriage, which I realized, why is that such a bad thing? I can see how it can lead to problems, maybe in some scenarios, but to say as a blanket rule, no, it is forbidden and you will go to hell. What kind of society runs this way, where you threaten everyone with hell for eternity, possibly? And so when I saw all these things, I thought, even though I no longer believe Islam is true, I don't want to even practice it anymore as a way to live my life. I didn't want anything to do with Islam anymore.
So what was the age when you got this realization that, this is enough and, I can no more practice Islam?
Around 18 years old. So 1 year after
Wow.
I left, 1 year after I moved to Canada.
Oh, that's so good, actually, that, you understood the reality when you were just 18.
You know
should
what
be
it was?
happy for this.
Well, I am happy in a way, but also sad that I spent much of my teenage years being very sad and feeling guilty and afraid of hell. But it's in the past, so there is nothing I can do now. But this
So
is one of
just
the reasons.
Aleem, just imagine you are sad, you wasted 18 years. Just imagine our condition. It took us more than 30 years to understand that, we were believing in something which is not true. And it's not only about, being true. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of efforts. It's a waste of energy that you go to mosque for 5 times, or you offer prayer 5 times. Even if you're working somewhere, you take the breaks and go for the salah. You left so many things which you could do just because you were following Islam and you had that love for Allah and love for Muhammad, and the fear of hell. Just imagine, just compare yourself with us. 18 years and 30 years. So we wasted the prime time. You
Yes.
are, to be honest, you are lucky that you understood, when you were 18, that I should not follow this waste of time religion.
I think so, yeah, because one of the things, just to add to your point, that Islam robs you of is time. Because I think this is one of the most harmful aspects of it. It teaches you to focus on this other life, this paradise, and it teaches you to fear this thing that will happen after death. But when you're doing that, then you are not living your life in the here and now. you are wasting your time, you're distracting yourself. And then if some unfortunate tragedy should happen in your life and you die, you pass away, whenever you happen to do so, this is time you will never have back. And this is one of the greatest tragedies.
Time never comes back.
No.
Okay, so let me just summarize what you said. तो भाई लोग ये जब ये वाला फिलोसफिकल लेवल क्रॉस करके, जो कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ गॉड है, इसको क्रॉस करके जब ये रसूलुल्लाह की जिंदगी पर आए, तो उन्होंने देखा कि यार यहाँ पे तो औरतों का जो स्टेटस है वो अलग है, औरतों के लिए तो कुछ इज्जत नाम की चीज ही नहीं है इधर। हालांकि इनको घर पे इस तरीके से सिखाया नहीं गया था, और लेकिन जब इन्होंने असल इस्लाम देखा और उसको पढ़ा, तो इनको नजर आया कि यहाँ तो भाई एक औरत की गवाही जो है वो मर्द के मुकाबले में आधी है, और मर्द की जो है वो तो औरत से दुगनी है। इस तरीके से इनको नजर आया। उसके बाद फिर रसूलुल्लाह सॉरी रसूलुल्लाह का कैरेक्टर देख रहे हैं, तो वो तो एक बुढ़ापे की उम्र में वो एक 6 साल की बच्ची के साथ शादी कर रहे हैं, और 9 साल में डिंगी डिंगी कर रहे हैं, मैरिज कंज्यूमेट कर रहे हैं, जिसको ये कहा जा रहा है कि ये परफेक्ट एग्जाम्पल है। वो तो इनको एग्जाम्पल कैसे माना जाए? और ये कहते हैं कि कुछ मुसलमान जो बच्चियों से शादी करते हैं वो करते इस्लाम की वजह से, लेकिन बहुत से ऐसे मुसलमान हैं जो अपनी बच्चियों की शादी नहीं कराएंगे इतनी कम उम्र में कोई बूढ़े के साथ। लेकिन इस्लाम जो है, वक्त के हिसाब से लोग चेंज होते जाते, इस्लाम तो चेंज नहीं होता है। तो इन्होंने देखा कि जिसको परफेक्ट एग्जाम्पल बनाया जा रहा है वो तो एक कबायली लोग है, और वो लूट मार करके अपनी जिंदगी गुजर बसर कर रहे हैं। इससे ज्यादा आपको क्या नजर आ रहा है? जब इन्होंने रसूलुल्लाह की जिंदगी को देखा तो उसमें इनको कोई भी बेस्ट रोल मॉडल वाली बात नजर नहीं आई। तो जब ये 18 साल तक पहुंचे, 17 साल में ये वहां कनाडा गए, और 18 साल पहुंचे तक इनका दिमाग इतना तेज काम किया इन 1 साल में कि इनको समझ में आ गया कि भाई नहीं, अब बस, अब मुझसे और इस्लाम नहीं होगा। इन्होंने इस्लाम को छोड़ दिया, क्योंकि देख रहे थे कि यार जिनके पास रिलीजन नहीं है, जैसे कि इन्होंने एथियस्ट लोगों की मिसाल दी कनाडा में, वो भी नॉर्मल जिंदगी गुजार रहे हैं, उनके रिलीजन के नहीं होने से वो कोई ऐसा बुरे लोग हैं या बुरे काम कर रहे हैं, ऐसा कुछ तो है ही नहीं। फिर इन्होंने एक और एक मिसाल दी कि यार इस्लाम में आउट ऑफ मैरिज अगर आप सेक्स कर देते हो तो उसके लिए इतनी बड़ी पनिशमेंट। तो पनिशमेंट जैसे कि आप लोगों को भी मालूम है कि अगर शादीशुदा नहीं है तो उसको 100 कोड़े पड़ेंगे। आप सोचो 100 कोड़े एक इंसान तो बर्दाश्त भी नहीं कर पाएगा, 100 कोड़े है। और अगर कोई शादीशुदा करता है आउट ऑफ मैरिज तो उसको पत्थर मार के स्टोनिंग कर दी जाएगी अडल्ट्री के ऊपर। तो ये कह रहे कि ये इतना बड़ा क्या पाप हो गया कि भाई आप ऐसी सजा दे रहे हो। तो ये सारी चीजें इनके जहन में घूमती जा रही थी और ये सोचते जा रहे थे, और इनको चूंकि कोई जवाब नहीं मिला तो इन्होंने 18 साल में इस्लाम को इन्होंने टाटा बाय बाय कर दिया। लेकिन इनको बहुत सदमा लगा इस बात से। इनको ऐसा लगा कि यार मेरी जिंदगी जो है, ये जो हिप्नोटाइज मेरे को किया गया था, ये मेरे साथ जो है जुल्म हुआ है, ये मेरे साथ जो है वो धोखा हुआ है। तो ये सदमे में आ गए इस चीज को लेके। और बहुत से लोग, हमारे एडम साहब ने भी बताया है कई बार कि जब उन्होंने इस्लाम छोड़ा तो वो तो रोते थे, यार जितना इस पे भरोसा किया ये तो मेरे साथ धोखेबाजी हो गई। इसी तरीके से इनके साथ भी मामला हुआ कि यार ये तो मेरे साथ धोखा हुआ है, ये अफीम जो चटाया गया था ये तो पूरा धोखेबाजी है। तो मैंने इनको कहा कि यार आप अपना सोच रहे हो, आप तो लकी है 18 साल में निकल गए, हमको तो 30 साल लग गए थे समझने के लिए कि भाई ये हमने अपनी जिंदगी बर्बाद कर दी है। तो फिर से आते हैं अलीम साहब के पास। यस मिस्टर अलीम, सो फाइनली at the age of 18 you left Islam, so what was there about after that?
Well, Sahil, I'll tell you how I felt after that. I was angry. I was very, very angry. I was angry because I felt like I'd been lied to my whole life. That I was just basically sold a lie. Because I now saw, here is the hypnotist, as we were talking about before. I was angry at the suffering that I had experienced and that I saw that Islam was causing to so many Muslims around the world. One of the books I read was the book by Ayan Hirsi Ali. She's a famous ex-Muslim, and
Yes.
she experienced something that has happened to, unfortunately, many Muslim women, the female genital mutilation, which is a tool to control the sexuality of women. And when I learned about these kinds of things, and I learned about the sufferings of so many Muslims around the world, people who are still Muslim and the ones who left Islam, it made me angry. And to be honest with you as well, I felt angry towards my parents as well, because when I revealed to them that I was no longer Muslim, and I did this very slowly, gradually, where I would drop hints because I didn't know how they would react. What I discovered was they were actually very accepting. What I discovered was that for them, Islam wasn't really that important. It was just something that was part of their culture, and that they raised me Muslim because it is easier to be Muslim when you're living in a Muslim country and to practice all the things like praying, going to the mosque, and so on and so forth, fasting for Ramadan, than to not do so, because it can create many problems where you can suffer from other people in the community who see that you're not being a Muslim. So I felt angry towards my parents as well. Like, how could you raise me as a Muslim my whole life? How could you allow the schools to teach me to be afraid of hell, to be sexist towards women, to be homophobic, to be all of these things, when it's something that you personally didn't truly fully believe in? And one of the things that really stuck with me, Sahil, was something my mother explained to me. And she told me that she wanted me to learn on my own what I wanted to believe in life, but she felt it was too early in my life to learn that maybe there is no Allah, no God, because then I would learn that there is no justice in the world. So, for example, if you are walking down the street and someone robs you and murders you and runs away, and the police never catch him, the killer, if there is no Allah, maybe then this killer will never be punished. And she felt this is something too hard for a child to accept. And I felt angry at that response, because my mother, she was coming from a place of love, of wanting to protect me. And this is how Islam works, by the way, because if Islam was just teaching fear and hate, it would not work on people. But it teaches this weird form of love where, here, take all of these things and they will make you feel better. They will comfort you. There's this Allah that loves you, who watches everything. But here's the problem with Islam, Sahil. In exchange for that love, for this protection, this comfort, you also have to accept that there is this Allah who is always watching you, who's controlling you, and who will punish you, because you cannot have the reward without also the threat of the punishment. So Islam is both things. So I felt very, very, very angry towards Muslims, towards my community, towards my culture. And eventually I left that angry phase because I felt there's no good, there's no point, positive point in being angry. And that's what led me then to want to start talking about the problems of Islam on YouTube, and maybe this is where we can finish things off.
Yes. तो भाई जब इन्होंने इस्लाम छोड़ा और इन्होंने वजह बताई सारी, तो इन्होंने आहिस्ते आहिस्ते अपने माँ बाप को बताया कि भाई मैं इस्लाम जो है मैंने तर्क कर दिया। आहिस्ते आहिस्ते इन्होंने छोटा छोटा डोज दिया, लेकिन इन्होंने देखा कि इनके जो पेरेंट्स है वो काफी एक्सेप्टिंग है। जब इन्होंने बताया तो वो इनके अगेंस्ट नहीं गए, उन्होंने एक्सेप्ट किया इनका इस्लाम छोड़ना। अच्छा, फिर इनको फिर भी गुस्सा आ रहा था। इस्लाम छोड़ने के बाद इनको बहुत गुस्सा आ रहा था कि यार मेरे साथ तो दगाबाजी हुई है। और इनकी माँ बाप ने जब ये एक्सेप्ट कर लिया तो इनको अपनी माँ पे भी गुस्सा आया कि यार अच्छा, वो लोग जो थे वो इतने ज्यादा कोई स्ट्रिक्ट मुसलमान नहीं थे। वो ऐसा था कि चलो हम इसमें दुबई में रह रहे हैं, यहाँ पे इस्लामिक मुआशरा है, तो अपने बच्चे को वैसे ही पाल लो, मतलब जबरदस्ती कुछ नहीं करो, क्योंकि वो बड़ा होने के बाद खुद तहकीक कर लेगा, खुद जान लेगा क्या सही है क्या नहीं सही है, लेकिन तब तक ऐसे ही रहो, क्योंकि एक मुसलमान, एक इस्लामिक मुआशरे में एज अ मुसलमान आप रहोगे तो ज्यादा फायदा है। अभी आप, इन्होंने एक एग्जांपल दी कि जैसे रमजान में अगर कोई रोजा नहीं रखेगा तो मुस्लिम मुआशरे में तो उसको गलत ही माना जाएगा। तो इस वजह से इनकी माँ जो है, इनको जितना इस्लाम का एज अ मुस्लिम इन्होंने रेस किया, उसकी वजह ये थी। लेकिन ये फिर भी इनको गुस्सा आया अपनी माँ पे कि आप ऐसे कैसे कर सकते हो, आपने जिंदगी भर मेरे ऊपर जो है वो जहन्नम का डर मुसल्लत किया, या ऐसी जगह पे पढ़ने दिया जहां पे ये डर मेरे ऊपर मुसल्लत किया गया है, तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था। उस पे इनकी माँ ने इस तरीके से कहा कि यार मैंने इस वजह से किया ताकि आप जो है वो यहाँ पे एज अ मुस्लिम मुआशरे में थोड़ा इस्लामिक नजर आए। अच्छा, उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि ये इनका गुस्सा जो है वो बढ़ते जा रहा था, लेकिन फिर इन्होंने सोचा कि यार गुस्सा करने में ऐसा क्या है, इसको जो है वो थोड़ा सा कम करते जाते हैं। तो इनका गुस्से वाला फेस भी जाता रहा। अच्छा, इन्होंने एक और बात कही कि इस्लाम जिस तरीके से आपको डर आपके अंदर इंस्टिल करता है, उसी तरीके से दूसरे साइड से भी काम करता है। और दूसरे साइड क्या है, उसमें से का एक एग्जांपल इन्होंने दिया कि वो जस्टिस वाला सिस्टम जो है वो किस तरीके से कायम होगा, क्योंकि दुनिया में जरूरी नहीं कि जस्टिस कायम हो हर बार। और एक मिसाल इन्होंने दी कि एक चोर है, वो चोरी करता है और बच जाता है, पकड़ा नहीं जाता है, तो जस्टिस कहाँ हुआ, चोरी किया। और उसको मैं एक और एग्जांपल इस पे ऐड कर देता हूँ, किसी का मर्डर हुआ, किसी का रेप हुआ, अब वो पकड़ा नहीं गया। बहुत से बार ऐसा होता है कि जो क्रिमिनल है वो पकड़ा नहीं जाता, तो जस्टिस तो नहीं हुआ। तो ये वाले प्रॉब्लम, एंड दिस इज द वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम, जहां पे लोगों को वर्गलाया जाता है कि भाई देखो इस दुनिया में तो जस्टिस हो नहीं सकता, पॉसिबल नहीं है। तो इस वजह से आपने अल्लाह को मानना है और इस्लाम को मानना है, क्योंकि मरने के बाद अल्लाह जस्टिस देगा उनको। इस वजह से अल्लाह ने जहन्नम रखी है, जन्नत रखी है। तो यही कह रहे थे कि सिर्फ डर वाला चीज से नहीं इस्लाम में मुसलमानों को बेवकूफ बनाया जाता है, बल्कि कुछ ऐसी चीज है जिसका आंसर किसी के पास नहीं होता, या वो कायम नहीं एज ऑफ नाउ किया जा सकता, लोग उस स्टेज पे नहीं पहुंचे हैं। तो ये क्या करते हैं, अल्लाह का चूरन वहां पे डाल के, अगेन गॉड ऑफ गैप्स, तो वहां अल्लाह का चूरन डाल के ये मुसलमानों को ये तासुर देने की कोशिश करते हैं कि यार देखो इस वजह से इस्लाम जो है सच्चा है। बट एट द एंड इनका जो गुस्से वाला फेस था वो भी आहिस्ते आहिस्ते चला गया, और उसके बाद इन्होंने चैनल स्टार्ट किया। तो Ali, when did you start the channel, and why you felt that I should start the channel and let people know about the real Islam?
These are very good questions. So just go back to when I went out of this angry phase where I was angry towards Muslims, angry towards my family, angry towards the world, because I was thinking, how can we just have it be accepted and be normal to have this religion that teaches things with no evidence, and then it's normalized and accepted as part of society? And I felt like I need to be part of the movement to change this. And one of the reasons why I didn't convert to Christianity, for example, because I know some ex-Muslims, they do convert to Christianity, is again that God of the gaps issue. This is what I saw with Christianity as well. And so that's why I became an atheist. And I wanted to show a world where you can lead a good life, you can have a fulfilling life, and you can, because the fear of Muslims is, well, if you don't believe in Allah, then you'll just go around killing and raping and stealing. And I wanted to show no, because I no longer believe in Allah, and yet I don't do any of those things. But at the same time, that scared me, because when Muslims say that, is the only thing stopping them from killing and raping and stealing the belief on Allah? So that's a very scary and revealing thing about the mentality of Muslims, of some Muslims anyway. But at the same time, I wanted to do it in a way in which I want to focus on my experience and the common issues that many people have when they leave Islam. Because I didn't want to focus just on criticizing Muslims, because to go one last time to the pink elephant example, what do you think? Let's say you're talking to someone who's still hypnotized and believes that there's a pink elephant. They think the pink elephant is right in front of them, and they can see its trunk in the air and everything like that, and they can feel the ground shake when the pink elephant moves. If you come to this person and say, listen, brother, the pink elephant is not real, the pink elephant isn't there, and you're stupid for believing that the pink elephant is here, the pink elephant is making you do stupid things, join me where there is no pink elephant. What would you feel like when someone is accusing you and criticizing you and saying you're being stupid when you can see the pink elephant still because you're still hypnotized? You will react very aggressively because it is questioning your identity, because your identity is, well, I'm in a room with a pink elephant. So I realized that attacking Muslims in this kind of very aggressive way would not be the way I would want to do it. So I decided to start by sharing my story. So I didn't start with video. I started by posting text posts on Twitter and Instagram under the account Leaving Islam, and you can actually see it under my name, the hashtag. So if anyone wants to look and see all of the details of my story and other experiences and the experiences of other ex-Muslims, you can go to @Leaving Islam on Twitter or Instagram. It's all still up there. But then Sahil, you know this very well. Video, seeing faces, hearing voices is much more powerful in connecting to people. Because many times I was accused of not being a real ex-Muslim, of being a fake, of being a bot. But people cannot say that I'm fake or a bot when they can they hear my voice, and they can see my face. So I decided, you know what, I will reach more people with this message if I do video. So I started my YouTube channel 3 years ago, Secular Spirit.
Wow.
And I called it Secular Spirit because I wanted to talk about Islam, of course, as well, but I also wanted to talk about how we can find fulfilling, meaningful ways to live our lives without needing religion. And I think an important part of that is I believe people should be free, truly free, to believe in a religion or not believe in a religion. And it should be done without fear. Of course, a religion like Islam will collapse without the fear. So this is why many Muslims are uncomfortable with the things I talk about. But that's why it's still important to do so. And the last thing I'll mention, and Sahil, I think you can relate to this very well.
Yes.
And I know you had a friend of mine on your channel too, Apostate Aladdin. If you remember him, he wears a mask over his face. Why? So some people might be watching and thinking, well, why can't you just criticize Islam and use your real name? Why do you have to use a fake name, Alim? Alim is not my real name. Why does Apostate Aladdin and other ex-Muslims, why do they have to wear masks? Because Muslims will react very aggressively and possibly violently if you criticize their religion. But that's what made it more important for me to do, because I am lucky. I am lucky in many ways. I live in Canada. I live in a safe life, safe community. I do have very religious relatives, but they live in other countries many thousands of kilometers away. And they do not know that I do this. So I'm safe from them as well. My parents accept me. And so I have the freedom and ability to talk about these things for many ex-Muslims who cannot. And here's the last point. Many Muslims will say, let's say my name isn't Ali, my name is, I don't know, Tom Smith, and I am American. They will say, this Tom Smith, he is a racist, he is Islamophobic, he does not know Islam, he is saying this because of hate and prejudice. Well, when you meet someone like me, I am Palestinian. I lived as a Muslim for half my life. Can you say that to me? No. So you will have to listen to me more than you can maybe, even if that Tom Smith says the exact same things as me, you will dismiss it maybe. But
there will be a huge difference.
Exactly. And so this is what motivates me to keep doing it despite the risks. So Canada is safer, but criticizing Islam is still a very taboo subject in Canada, in the United States, in Europe, in many countries. But that means we should talk about it even more.
Once, as of now, you're safe, but you never know what will happen.
You never know.
When millions of people start watching you, and one day, they will. We want that to happen. But once you are a known face, then definitely you have a lot of risk in your life, even if you are in Canada. So the prime example is of Dr. Salman Rushdie.
Yes.
After 23 years, he was attacked,
What a
okay,
tragedy.
because of the book. Yeah, so you are not safe when you criticize Islam or when you present the real Islam. But so guys, Mr. Alim, with the channel name Secular Spirit, he has come with face, as he said. मतलब उन्होंने फेस के साथ इस वजह से स्टार्ट किया क्योंकि वो कहते हैं कि अगर फेस नहीं होगा, और ये पहले कम्युनिटी पोस्ट डालते थे या एक्स पे इनका चैनल था, अमित वो इनका जो एक्स का जो अकाउंट है वो ढूंढ के यहाँ पे शेयर करो। ये कहते हैं कि लोग जो है ना मुसलमान फिर उस पे इल्जाम लगाना शुरू कर देते हैं कि यार ये तो बॉट है, ये रियल नहीं है, ये एक्स मुस्लिम नहीं है, ये अपना चेहरा नहीं दिखा रहा, और जो आपको भी मालूम है मुझे भी मतलब मेरी आइडेंटिटी रहने के बाद भी मेरे को हिंदू बोलते हैं लोग। तो इस तरीके के इल्जाम आते, तो इन्होंने सोचा देखो अगर इम्पैक्ट लाना है तो रिस्क तो लेना पड़ेगा, और चूंकि ये अभी सेफ जगह पर है तो इन्होंने कहा मैं फेस के साथ आऊंगा, वॉइस के साथ आऊंगा, सिर्फ पोस्टबाजी नहीं चलेगी, क्योंकि वॉइस और फेस होने से आपकी बात का इम्पैक्ट जो है बहुत ज्यादा हो जाता है, तगड़ा हो जाता है। एक चीज तो ये, दूसरी चीज के एक अगर कोई जैसा नॉन मुस्लिम है, कोई हिंदू है या कोई क्रिश्चियन है, वो कुरान की वही आयत पेश कर रहा है जो कि एक एक्स मुस्लिम पेश कर रहा है, अलीम साहब पेश कर रहे हैं अपने फेस के साथ, तो जो मुसलमान है वो उसके नजदीक इनकी बात जो है वो ज्यादा असरदार होगी इसके मुकाबले एक नॉन मुस्लिम, एक क्रिश्चियन या एक बाई बर्थ जो क्रिश्चियन है या हिंदू है उनके मुकाबले में। इसी वजह से इन्होंने ये रिस्क लिया अपना चेहरा दिखाने का। तो मेरे प्यारे भाई लोग, एक अभी इंटरेस्टिंग सेशन स्टार्ट होने वाला है, लेकिन उससे पहले मैं आप लोगों से एक रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि सेक्युलर स्पिरिट चैनल, अमित एक बार देख लेना इनका सब्सक्राइबर कितना है। आप जितने लोग अभी देख रहे हैं, कितना है अमित?
5500 है।
यार देखो यार, भाई हमारे फेस के साथ अपना एक्टिविज्म कर रहे हैं, हो सकता लोगों को पहले ना पता हो, लेकिन यार मैं आप सभी लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं, मैं कल इसको कम्युनिटी पोस्ट में भी डालूंगा और डिस्क्रिप्शन में भी हम लिंक शेयर कर देंगे। सारे लोग जाके, आपको इंग्लिश आती है नहीं आती है कोई मसला नहीं, एज ऑफ नाउ इनके चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दे। और कैसा है कि ये इंग्लिश में अपनी बात रखते हैं और बहुत ज्यादा एग्रेसिव भी नहीं है अपनी बात में, जैसे कि इन्होंने कहा कि इनका जो मकसद है वो मुसलमानों को सही राह दिखाना है, जो धोखा इनके साथ हुआ है वो सारे मुसलमानों के साथ ना हो। तो ये एक ऐसा तरीके से अपनी बात रखना चाहते हैं जो बैलेंस्ड हो, जिसमें ज्यादा ऐसा नहीं हो कि मुसलमान जो है ऑफेंड हो जाए। तो आप सभी लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि इनके चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर ले, कमेंट, पिन कमेंट में लिंक ऑलरेडी मौजूद है। तो बराए मेहरबानी रिक्वेस्ट है आप सभी लोगों से कि एटलीस्ट इनके 10,000 सब्सक्राइबर्स तो हम कंप्लीट करके दे ही सकते हैं, ताकि ये इनको एक प्रोत्साहन मिले, एक मोटिवेशन मिले और ये और अच्छे से अपनी बात कर सके। जो हमारे पास पहले एक एक्स मुस्लिम का हमने इंटरव्यू लिया था, एक्स मुस्लिम ये अपोस्टेट अलादीन का, वो भी इनके ही दोस्त है, वो भी अरब ही थे और ये भी पैलेस्टाइन से बिलोंग करते हैं, लेकिन दुबई में इनका पालन पोषण हुआ है। तो इनके चैनल को आप सभी लोग जो है वो सब्सक्राइब करते हैं मेरे भाई लोग।